This is Level Up Life After 40 with Chey P.
and Amy E., helping women over 40 to grow, reinvent, and stop settling for just getting by.
Because your best chapter might just be ahead.
Thanks for tuning into another fantastic episode of Level Up Life After 40 with Chey P. and Amy E. And we're asking the question today, why is change so hard? Especially when you know that the change that you're about to encounter is better for you, right? You know you're more qualified for a position than your coworker, yet you don't put yourself out there for the promotion. You know you're capable of earning more money, yet you don't ask for more money, or you don't request more money, or you don't ask for that raise or promotion. You know you're in that toxic relationship that you should end, but you still stay in it. And you know you should quit smoking, or maybe not drink as much, or maybe go to the gym a little bit more, yet you don't do anything about it. Why is that? Why is change so hard when we know that the change is going to result in better? It's not a question of, if I work out, will I feel better? It's a known fact. When you work out, you're going to feel better. If you know you're more qualified for a position, why aren't we going up and asking for that? Why is change so hard? And that's kind of the topic that we're going to be talking about today, because it really coincides with our month of May, which is courage and change. And are you stuck, or are you scared? So I just want to throw this out there too. I should have mentioned earlier, please follow us on the socials, Level Up Life After 40 with Chey P. and Amy E. on Instagram and on Spotify and all the other fun podcast
Facebook,
channels.
YouTube.
Facebook, YouTube, all that good stuff. Thanks, Cheyenne. Wanted to throw that in there. But anyway, before I kind of dive into my notes, Cheyenne, have you ever had a situation where you knew you needed to change? You knew it was going to result in a better Chey P, yet you didn't do anything about it?
Oh, yes, all the time. And I actually, I read another article the other day, and one of them was talking about, because people think like fear of success. And sometimes what happens is people know they can succeed, but they're afraid that people will expect them to succeed at that level all the time. And that can hold people back. And I've actually had the thought, like, if I'm successful, and this is kind of a crazy thought, but if I'm successful with this, people are going to expect me to have this level of success in all areas of my life. And there are places where I struggle more than others. So it's almost kind of like this imagined expectation that is out there.
That's a really good point. Think about people that are very successful leaders. They're expected to always be on point, and that pressure, I can only imagine, can be very crippling. And it's probably more the pressure that we put on ourselves, right? Most people expect people to make mistakes. We're all human. Nobody is perfect. But it's the pressure that we put on ourselves. So we're going to talk a little bit today about, okay, how do we get unstuck? How do we move past knowing that change is going to bring us better, and we just make the move? In my notes I'm putting together, I started coming up with why we don't change. And a lot of times we have a bazillion excuses, right?
I like to call them reasons when I'm excusing my way out of some things. And sometimes things can be legit for people, but more often than not, it's kind of fabricated, or it's something that could potentially be worked around. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, we make up excuses to not take action all the time. And unfortunately, the more and more we keep telling ourselves the excuses, we start believing them. We start believing that we don't have time. We make time for the things we want to get done.
Right. Or we'll fill the time with some kind of busy work that's not actually meaningful and doesn't really propel us forward. Is now a good time to mention the other article I read? All right. So another article that I read was talking about how when we read books and get material and learn about, I don't know, like mindset and things we should do and skills and stuff like that, a lot of times people won't implement them because the brain ticks off the knowledge of it and the learning of it as kind of a successful activity. So a lot of people, and I can definitely say I'm one of them, don't necessarily take action because the brain has kind of tricked us into thinking, okay, you just learned about this thing. Good job. Woohoo. But then I think we can maybe bring ourselves down because we haven't taken any kind of action on what we learned. And you're almost going to beat yourself up with, I know this. Why am I not doing it? Or I just learned this. And so I think, oh, go ahead.
I use the example, how many times have you picked up a workbook, like a self-help workbook, and you picked it up and you read it, but you never filled in any of the blanks or answers?
Mm-hmm.
You read through
Well,
the book, and at the end of the chapter, it said, this is a workbook, and we just skip on to the next chapter.
hmm
Because you're right. Maybe our brains thought, well, I picked up some information, but just because you picked it up, did you really put it into practice?
hmm it's true. I think a good rule of thumb, and since I've read that, and I'm noticing, because, I'm studying to get my coaching certification, that when I get coached, we always have a plan of action that the person comes up with themselves.
Mm.
And it's going to be more meaningful to you to do that type of activity. So I think maybe when you're getting information by reading a book or listening to a podcast or something, what's one takeaway that you have and what's one action that you can take today, or set yourself a time frame for something so you can kind of set yourself up for success. And it doesn't have to be an action that Amy and I say or that we've done or tried. It has to be something that works for you. But I would always try to come up with some plan of action. So like when you finish a book, if you've highlighted or taken notes, like pick out the most meaningful thing. What's an action you can take on that?
I like that idea. Pick one thing that you found meaningful or that resonated with you the most, and just take a small amount of action.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, have you ever experienced, well, I've been in sermons before and they'll say something and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go now. Like you need to stop talking because you just hit something really good. And you could even do that like in a book, which I would encourage you to finish a book, but maybe there's something that resonates and you want to take action and it spoke to you. You can stop, take that action. You can always return to the book. You can always return to the podcast. You can always return to the sermon, whatever it is.
Good point, right? Stop where you're at and take action. Whatever it is, whatever small little bit of change that you introduce as a
Mhm.
result of whatever you were experiencing in that moment.
Why do we come up with the excuses though, Amy? What is the underlying thing for the excuses, do you think?
For most people, I would say it's probably time.
Mhm. Do you think it's time or do you think it's fear-based? Do you think time's the excuse for fear?
You got me on that one. You're right. We we use time as an excuse, but at the end of the day, admit it. You're scared. Fear is an emotion that God gave us to help us in different situations. When you're fearful, you tend to be a little bit more alert. You tend to be more on guard. If you're walking down a dark alley, you're going to have a different posture. You're going to have a different way you walk, a different way you observe things around you than walking in that same alley in the on noon with a bunch of people.
Mhm.
It is a natural response to be scared, but don't let that fear be crippling. Don't get to the point where that fear is now stopping you from taking that action. I hate to say it, and I'll admit it to myself, I'm choosing to be stuck.
Mhm. Gonna I'm sorry, I'm gonna just throw out there too, because you're talking about all the choices, and I can't remember the thousands amount of choices that they tell us that we make every day. So if you feel like you are getting decision fatigue, which happens, it's probably because you spend so much time having to make all these other decisions, not just for yourself, but often for other people too. So if there's ways to eliminate that decision fatigue, I would try to incorporate that as well.
I'm glad you brought up decision fatigue, especially because most of us women, we are working professionals, we are moms, we are the manager of the household, we pay bills, we're literally on 24/7 almost. That decision fatigue can be a big reason why. By the end of the day, we're just absolutely exhausted. My
Mhm.
suggestion with that, start delegating responsibilities. And the hard part, you're going to hate me for saying this, Learn to let it go. Nobody is going to fold the laundry as perfect as you. Nobody's going to vacuum as well as you do. Nobody's going to grocery shop as fast and efficiently as you. And that's okay. As long as the task gets done, done is better than perfect. And as long as the task gets done, avoid that micromanagement. Those are all things that we can either delegate to family members or to coworkers so that we are using our time and talents to the best of our ability, and also that we're not burning ourselves out.
Mm-hmm. And if you can afford it, hire someone. I would love to hire someone to cook for us.
Well, okay, so if that's the case, then figure out a way how you can earn more money doing the activities that you're good at, i.e., your coaching, your real estate, and use those efforts to earn the money to be able to afford to have that personal chef, even if it's only once a week, right?
Mm. Yeah, or even just to do all the meal prep and
We make time for everything that's important to us, right? We make time to go to work because that's important to us. We need to earn a living. We make the choice and the decision to how we spend our time. Are you spending your time bettering yourself? Are you spending your time leveling up your life? Or are you spending your time doing the busy work and making up the excuses?
right. Yeah, and I think that's one of those things where society tends to look down on you if you're not busy, but then you also admire the people who have managed their time so they're able to live the life that they want to, and they've fashioned it in such a manner. So you can't have both.
Hmm. We're all jealous of that friend that works Monday through Thursday and has off on Fridays. Brandy, one of our phenomenal guests who will be on this podcast, has also negotiated her Fridays off because that
Mhm.
time is sacred and because she made the decision that that was going to be her day to spend on herself and her family doing whatever she wants to do.
Right. And she's a business owner too. So I think that speaks volumes because a lot of times when people are in an entrepreneurial capacity, they will work themselves to the bone and it almost defeats the purpose. In fact, you see memes all the time where people say, "Oh, why do you have your own business?" Because I want to choose, how I work my 160 hours every week.
She got unstuck, right? She got unstuck and made a change. Once again, going back to the beginning, a change that I know is going to be better.
Yeah. You just need to have the courage to have the conversation or take the step. In fact, sometimes when I will complain about certain situations, whether it's self inflicted or not, Brett will just want to know, what am I doing about it? Because if you're going to complain about it, you need to figure out a way to try to fix it.
Yeah.
So, um, when he's like, "What are you doing to fix it?" Like, I don't wanna hear you complain about it again until you're actually taking some steps. So, I can complain maybe about like, "Okay, this didn't work," or "This was a little harder than I thought." That's okay, but I need to actually have some encourage, depending on what the situation is, to move forward to make that change or make a decision or do something. And some things are super hard because, like you said, it's comfortable. Leaving the hospital was hard for me, like, I cried on my last day because I loved my coworkers. The work wasn't comfortable anymore, so I knew it was the right change.
Hmm.
In fact, because you talk about, like, work's okay, but I remember I hated Sunday night because I had to go to work on Monday, and then on Thursday, people would be like, "You're singing a lot, you're in a good mood," and I knew it's because tomorrow was gonna be the last day I had to go to work for the week, and that's just a terrible attitude to have, and so I did realize, it was probably around 40-ish, like, this is a situation that, yeah, I'm grateful for my job, but I obviously need to make a change, and that was scary. Been in therapy for over 20 years, and I moved into real estate.
Talk about taking a big leap of faith, but you knew you weren't happy and you knew you needed a change. So you finally took that step. And you
Mhm.
even talk about it. It was a little step. I started to go to school at night. And then when I started my real estate business, I was working both jobs at the same time. I should let you tell the story. It's your story. I don't know why I'm talking about it,
Yeah,
but
well, you're telling it perfectly correctly. Yeah, and so I did that, and then when we had enough saved, that's when I just kind of bit the bullet. Now, it's interesting because I still have my therapy license. I've still kept it. Every now and again, I'll look at therapy jobs just out of curiosity, but It's not necessarily something that I wanna go back to, but I do like to keep the option open just in case I do, and it's not the option in case I don't succeed in this, it's the option if I choose to go back. Because I didn't hate therapy, I just it was time, it was that season of my life was over. Now, it's not to say I won't have the season again
Mhm.
where I'm like, "You know what? I wanna go back and work in a nursing home." In fact, Medicare has changed the law since I last worked in a nursing home where I might not hate it. I mentioned coaching. Sometimes, depending on what it is you wanna do, you might have to seek the help of some kind of professional. Maybe you need to hire an attorney, maybe you need to find a mentor, you can have a consultant, you can get a coach, um, maybe you need a therapist depending on what it is really holding you back. But there are professionals out there that can help you if you're really feeling stuck and you're wanting to move on, or you find that you're making excuses, or if you almost set yourself up for failure for everything that you try. People do that too. They will self sabotage. And you could just be on the cusp of something great. And for whatever reason, there's something that's just not letting you. So you might need to reach out to a professional or, like I said, a mentor, someone that's just been there before you that can say, yes, you're going to hit this plateau. And this is how I overcame it. So that's just my other thing. You don't have to go it alone. There are people out there.
I'm glad you brought up a professional too, because let's face it, if you are paying somebody, chances are you are going to take action. I use the analogy of a physical trainer for working out. I may or may not be motivated to go to the gym, but by gosh, if I'm paying a trainer a $50 an hour or whatever they charge these days, and it's a non-refundable, non-cancelable, I'm showing up.
Mhm.
Same thing if you are paying an attorney, a therapist, a coach. When you're paying somebody professional to give you assistance, chances are not only are you going to show up, but you are going to have an open mind and want to absorb that information because you're paying for it. So maybe use that analogy in situations where you're not paying somebody, but put a dollar value on it. If
Mhm.
I don't make this change, what is it costing me?
Mhm.
And if
Yep.
I make this change, how much am I gaining? Some people are more motivated by avoiding pain versus other people are more motivated by the seek of pleasure. Whatever is best that tweaks you, set a value on that lack of change and use that to help you get unstuck.
Yeah, and last point, think about what your life will look like in a year or in 5 years if you make the change and what it'll look like if you don't. Which vision is better for you? And then maybe that can kinda help propel you towards that change that you wanna move toward.
Awesome. I like that. So, in just wrapping it up, let's work on no more excuses. We're not stuck. We're going to make that change. We're going to level up our life and just know you got this. Just a quick reminder, everything we share on this podcast is for inspirational, personal growth, and real life conversation. We're not doctors, therapists, financial advisors, or legal experts. Just two women sharing experiences, lessons, and stories to help you level up your life. Always do what's best for you and seek out qualified professionals when you need specific guidance. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and remember, you got this.